Good morning. Welcome. This is the Minnesota Crossroads Career Network webinar this morning. I'm going to wait just a few seconds here as people are rolling in to our to join us online. It takes a moment for everything to load up. Glad you all were able to make it this morning. We'll get started here, and as people continue. My name is 𝙆𝙧𝙞𝙪𝙨. I lead Minnesota Crossroads Career Network, and glad to have you join us. I know on these webinars that we have people from all over the country that join in, and so it's always interesting to me to look afterwards where people were from, and it's usually from anywhere from 5 to 10 different states, and so I'm grateful for that. Now we're in Minnesota and central time zone, so we don't usually get too many people from the West Coast. Pretty early there, but for those of you that are local or within the reasonable time this morning, I'm glad you were able to make it. This morning we have a great presentation by 𝙄𝙣𝙩𝙬𝙧. I am so glad to have her here this morning. She is joining us from the East Coast, and so a little bit later and a little bit warmer there today. She was just telling me that it's 65 there today. It's about 20 degrees here, and we have 6 inches of fresh snow on the ground. So a little bit of a different climate between the two of us, but it works out great. I just want to share a couple of things this morning first, and then I've got I'll introduce Christy, and she'll have the next hour. And then afterwards, certainly want you to hang on and hear of all the other things you can take advantage of with Crossroads as well. Job search is probably not what most people want to do at any given time, right? They want to just land in a new job and move on with life. And so we want to make that process, as painless as possible for you. But our hope with Crossroads is, certainly to provide the best help and resources for your job search as we can, but while also pointing to the encouragement and hope of Jesus Christ. Many frustrations in our life, especially in a job search, are when we don't get what we think we want, while also, that we don't get what we want. Sometimes it's even something that we may have been praying for, like a specific job, and it doesn't come through. What I often forget, though, is that God knows things I don't know, that he can see around corners that I can't see. As an example, say I'm walking down the street and come to an intersection. The light turns green in my direction, so I step off the curb to cross the street. But in stepping down, I trip and I fall. And I'm upset and frustrated because I never trip like that, and it's humiliating there on the street. However, what I didn't know was that a speeding car was coming and he ran through the red light. Had I stepped out further into the street, I would have been hit. Was that fall a bad thing or a good thing? Many times I don't get the things I pray for, but that's actually a good thing for me. We don't see sometimes what could have happened otherwise. The Bible says, delight yourselves in the Lord, and he'll give you the desires of your heart. The best way to think of that passage, though, is that when you trust him with your life and are committed to following him, he'll change the desires of your heart to be more in alignment with him. He wants the best for us. So sometimes when we don't get something we think is good for us, like a particular job, he may be protecting us from something we don't know or can't see. We can be thankful for that. Let me open in a word of prayer, and we'll jump into the rest of the content for this morning. Lord, I'm just grateful that we can do these events. We don't see each other online, but I'm grateful that several people can be here to be able to hear a good word, to be able to get some perspective and some practical help in their current circumstances. Father, I pray that you use this time for your purposes, that each person takes away something that's most important to them, that you can put on their heart as well. Thank you for these opportunities, Lord, and we pray in your name. Amen. I want to share a short video here. It's only like about 5 minutes, but by Francis Chan. It's called The Rope Illustration. If you haven't seen it before, it's an old video, so it's a little bit blurry and in the old format, but it's very applicable, I think, about what are the things that are most important to us. I mean, we all need to get a job. We all need to earn an income, right? But what are the things that we want to focus on primarily in our lives in order to see our eternity most clearly. And I think this will hopefully give you some perspective on that. Let me get this started here.
Going, man, what am I going to look forward to at the end? I'm going to bring an illustration that this is like the first illustration I did. It was 20 years ago, but I can't think of a better way to explain it. I actually didn't use a rope back then. I used remember computer paper when it was all stuck together and it had the holes on the side that you had to peel off. Remember that? I remember getting a roll, and some of you guys have no idea what I'm talking about, which is crazy to me. But because that was the best, and it never worked right because of the rolling things. But I remember being a youth pastor, and I put that computer paper all the way around the room, and but I'm going to use a rope now because I can't find that computer paper. Imagine this rope. Okay, pretend this rope just goes on forever. Okay, just imagination. Pretend it goes around the world a few times. It doesn't. It ends at the rock. But let's just imagine this thing goes on forever. Now imagine that this rope is a timeline of your existence. You just exist forever. You see this red part? This would represent your time on earth. You've got a few short years here on earth, and then you've got all of eternity somewhere else. This is your existence. And what blows me away is some of you, all you think about is this red part. It's all you think about. You're consumed with this. You go, oh man, I can't wait till here. I'm going to work hard. I'm going to save so I can really enjoy this part right here. And you're consumed with that, and you're thinking, oh man, am I going to get to travel? Am I going to eat well? Am I going to do this during this part? And I'm like, are you kidding me? What about this? What about this? What about all this stuff? It's crazy to me because the Bible teaches that what I do during this little red part determines how I'm going to exist for millions and millions and millions of years forever. And so why would I spend this little red part trying to make myself as comfortable as possible, enjoying myself? Paul says, look, I'm going to live my life for this mission. I'm going to spend my life, invest my life for this moment when I cross that finish line. See, I'm going to forget about all this stuff I could enjoy, and I'm not going to look around. I'm going to be like a runner, just looking at that moment when I face God, because when I face Him, then I don't get this chance over again. We get one chance at this life on earth, and it can end at any second for any of us. We've got one chance at this, and then comes eternity. And I'm not going to be fooled. I'm not going to spend my life down here. See, people look at some of my decisions and go, oh, you're so stupid because that's going to really affect this. I go, no, you're stupid because it's going to affect all of this. Man, I'm serious. I look at the way people live and I go, wow, that is so crazy. You are so crazy. You're going to do that right now, just to enjoy right now, not even knowing if you have tomorrow, and you think that's smart and that I'm dumb. It doesn't make any sense. Paul goes, I'm not going to look around at all this stuff. And it's tempting. It's tempting to all of us. That's what I'm saying. Down here, it's crazy because everyone lives that way. Everyone lives for the red part. No one's thinking about the millions of years afterwards. It's just this crazy deception that we can't get out of our minds. And Paul goes, I'm not doing that. He goes, I keep my eyes on that. I keep my eyes on that finish line, and I'm going to forget what's behind me. I'm not looking around. I'm straining. He goes, I'm straining forward. I'm like stretching forward for that mark. I'm going to pass this thing. I'm going to live this out, and I'm going to face Him. I'm going to come before the judges, and He's going to hand me that trophy. He goes, I'm going to get it. And I haven't gotten there yet. He goes, but you better believe I'm using every muscle, exerting every bit about me, because I'm going to pass that line well.
Sorry about that. A little slow on recovering after the video. But, I think God does give us the ability and wants us to enjoy life, but remembering that there's an eternity that we're actually working towards, I think gives us a different perspective of how we do everything today. And I think the more we can focus and find ways to serve others and be used by Him in this world, the more that our eternity looks a lot more attractive as well. With that, I really am glad to be able to introduce Christy. She is joining us from the Charlotte area, and she is, as I said, a little bit warmer there than in Minneapolis right now. But she has a tremendous background in talent management and organizational development. She was an executive for over 20 years. She currently has consulting firm that has been very successful in helping organizations create cultures where employees love to work. And that's not an easy task, but she's been very effective with helping a lot of companies. But in the process of her previous roles and currently helping companies, she has gone through and seen or hired a lot of people and seen the good, the bad, and the ugly, and has some great advice about what happens after the interview. What do you do then? And so very practical help as well as some great perspective for you. I'm really glad to have Christy join us for the next hour here to give you as much insight. If she has, I'm going to drop a PDF file into the chat with her slides for today so that you can download those from the chat. And if you have questions or comments for her, please put them in the chat, and I'll bring them to her attention, and we'll respond to those and address them as we can. But glad to have you, Christy. I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Harry, for inviting me to talk through this. It's such an important thing to share because, as you go through the journey of finding the next adventure, I'll be honest, I call them hallway moments where one door has closed, another has not opened, and you're stuck in the middle of the hallway. And what do you do? And how do you navigate that? And how do you work that through? And how do you keep in mind that, what God has planned for you is a door that will open at the right time, but it doesn't always make that process easy. And so today I want to share with you the insights on the interview's over, now what? So what do you do? What are the things that typically happen? And give you some insight and experience. I had, as Harry mentioned, I have over 20 some years in the talent and OD world, and have a peek behind the curtain of what actually happens behind the scenes. So I'll just share my insights, and then absolutely my information's is in the handout. Feel free to reach out, and happy to help support however I can. So let's go ahead and jump on in. So today we're going to talk about, I'm going to do a high level of the typical hiring process, because I think that's one thing that we all get kind of frustrated and confused by, is why it takes so long, and then jump right into what the interview's over, what are the top 5 scenarios, and then we're going to end with some celebration, because I want to hear from you all as to what has been really going well for you and what you're learning. Okay, so let's talk about the hiring process. It is long, it is complex, and it is sometimes confusing. And I'll be honest, Harry and I were just chatting before we jumped on that employers are changing the game because they're trying to find more streamlined ways to do some of these pieces. And so you may see some different things than you've ever seen before in the past. And I'll just be honest, some of these threw me by a curveball, but my last year's intern was telling us what's actually happening nowadays. So you apply for the role. You apply on LinkedIn, the website, everywhere you can. So I'll give you just a nugget on this one. If you apply on LinkedIn, you apply on Indeed, we also recommend that you go to the company's website and apply, because that's actually their point of truth. And it also helps to ensure you're already in the ATS as well. Then you get screening. That screening is an applicant tracking system, or ATS. It is artificial intelligence that takes the job description against your resume, and it does an automatic alignment to say you are an 86% match, you're a 42% match, and that actually puts people into buckets, and then the recruiters then look through that funnel. We were just chatting before we jumped on that there are so many more candidates because people are using AI bots to apply for 100 roles a day. And so now employers are getting flooded with applicants. So the more you can have your resume matching what they're looking for, the more you're likely to get caught up into that screening. So then you get a chance to talk to a recruiter. They are not your hiring manager. They determine who they're going to talk to. They call you, have a quick chat just to make sure you fit the criteria. And then they send you over into the interview process. This is where you get to meet the hiring manager, your peers, additional leaders in the company. It could be one-on-one, panel, multiple, but we were just chatting that there's a couple different things happening. One is now companies are using AI interviews that you actually may be interviewed by an AI bot, or they're actually putting up this question on the screen. They're off camera and you're answering the question kind of into the cyberspace or into the void. So things have shifted. So don't be taken off guard if you see some things. Companies are trying to lean into technology and embrace different ways to do it. And we're just seeing some different trends. After interviews for the top candidates, you may or may not get assessments. So those could be personality tests, skills tests, cognitive tests. And then once they have their candidate, the highest candidate, and they're ranked ordered, then they present the offer. And this is what we're going to talk quite a bit about today, which is what do you do after the interviews and if you get into offer land, because there are some great things that you can do in this space. And then you get into the post-offer process, which is the drug testing, background checks, reference checks, all of that, and then day one. So you can see this takes a long time because interviews, they're trying to look at schedules and get the right people and on the right dates and times, and travel and holidays and vacations and everything will impact interview schedules. And then and in the middle, after you've done the interview, this is where it feels like you get ghosted, to be honest. But what can also be happening is they're waiting for all of that information to come in. You may be candidate B or number 2 in the queue, and they're waiting for candidate number 1 to show up on day 1. So you're not out of the running. You haven't gotten the thanks, no thanks letter. But so I would just encourage you to, trust and continue that God will open the right door and wait on his timing. So just wanted to kind of highlight that we recognize and realize that this process is long, it is painful, and it feels slow. And you are going to have a lot of emotions. Have them. Your emotions are there for a reason. Lean into them, flow through them, and see how they can inform your next step. Okay, so the top 5 post-interview scenarios that we're going to talk about today. Number 1, you don't get a response. You are ghosted, which we're hearing more and more that people are getting ghosted because there's so many candidates out there today. Number 2, you're not offered the position. So you get the thank you, but no thank you letter. And then now we start getting into the offers. 3, 4, and 5 are 1, it's a low or not quite right offer, or it could be just right or higher than you thought offer, or the best scenario that we love is multiple offers. So what do you do in all of these different scenarios? And I'm going to walk you through some of that today. Before we jump in, if there are any questions in the chat, let me know. Harry, anything going on in the chat?
Nothing yet. I just posted.
Okay, perfect. And just to let all of you know, I am working off of one screen today, so please let Harry know how we can support you best. All right, so let's dive into that you do not receive a response. So you went through the whole interview process, you connected with everybody, you thought, wow, that was great, I was so excited, and then absolutely nothing. So here are some things happening behind the scenes to kind of give another perspective or what else could be happening. One is they're waiting to schedule more interviews or waiting for more candidates to get onto the calendar, so then they can determine who goes to the next step. You haven't gotten the automatic email from the system saying thank you, no thank you. So you're still in there. And I want to anchor you on, you know what, let me take a step back. Let's just anchor you on the fact that you got an interview in the first place, which meant that you got through the ATS, you got through the screening, you got through all that initial upfront part, and you landed an interview The company has said you have what it takes to possibly do this role. So please celebrate that and please lean into that, because regardless of the outcome, you got an interview where other people did not. So that tells you you add value, and you just need to find the right fit for you. So internally, for receiving no response, other things that could be happening internally, they may have other candidates that have just popped up and now they're evaluating them. They're waiting for schedules. They're trying to get everything coordinated. They're trying to get feedback from leaders who are on vacation or traveling or whatever. There's so many reasons for no response. My question for you is, what do you do in those in the silence? Celebrate that you got an interview 100%, but use this time. So we have a couple clients right now that are in this process, and every time they come out of an interview, we ask them this question: what went well? What are you proud of that popped up, and how you talked about what you do and your superpowers and layered on your expertise? What are you really proud of that you did well? And then what do you want to do more of? Okay, well that example didn't seem to land. Let's talk about how do you revise it? How do you pivot? What can you do more of? Is there anything you'd say differently? How would you say it differently? And then are there examples that you're like, oh, I forgot that example. That was a really good one. Great, let's write it down. Let's take stock in it. Let's practice that for the next time. The goal is to just continue to move forward, because a door is waiting for you. You need to take a step towards that door. So use the lessons of what you just went through, and take that and move that forward, and just keep walking. Just keep walking to that next door.
Chrissy, someone's asking, how long after the last interview should you anticipate a possible offer? Is it weeks or days?
It depends. It depends.
Yeah, not a great.
Well, it's so and Harry, you are also, you also are, have the background in this space too. So please chime in. It all depends. So they could also be waiting for their budget year to turn over. So at the end of, a lot of people didn't get job offers until January 1st, because they had to wait for the budget to open back up and be able to get on the books. If you saw LinkedIn as of January, you saw everybody, hey, congratulations, I got this job, I landed this job. That they didn't get everything in place until later in the game. It could be weeks. Or if they really, really, really need to fill it, like right now, you might get a call that same day if they were able to get all the leaders on board and have that conversation. So I guess I have to say it depends on the company, where they are in their fiscal year, and the urgency of the role.
Agreed. I don't think there are any meaningful averages. There's so many different criteria or circumstances that can affect that. And sometimes it takes a long time. Sometimes it's very quick.
Sometimes, yeah. And that's the hard part with the waiting in the game. And so one thing that I also put it into your handouts but I wanted to show you, we also recommend that if you don't get absence of information, and the recruiter said, if you don't hear from me, please reach out. Definitely, there's nothing wrong with doing a very polite and respectful, just wanted to just touch base and see how things are going. Recruiters nowadays have a lot of requisitions that they're managing, and 50, 60, depending on companies. Some recruiters actually have upwards of like 100, which I have no idea how they're managing that insanity. But you may be on the one requisition that they haven't looked at in like a week or so, and this is a chance to get your name back onto get into the queue. I recommend we use AI in our firm quite a bit, just as a starting point for how do we word it, how do we say it. We've actually started using, we're shifting which one we use because it finds our voice better. But what I would always say is, it's a starting point. Make sure that it knows your voice, and write it in your voice, because you don't want to have any follow-up email sound like AI wrote it or it's a chatbot. But we give you some examples of things that we have actually sent, or we've had our clients send, and it just allows you to stay top of mind and not get lost in the sauce. All right. Any other questions popping up, Harry?
Nope, that's it for now.
Perfect. Okay. Now you are not offered the position, so you get the dreaded thank you, but no thank you letter. It happens all the time. And one of the things that we're seeing a lot right now is that you first of all, you got to the interview, which meant that you are qualified, and that means other people are also got to the interview are also qualified. And now they're looking at A player, and they're looking for that one thing that just differentiates one person over the other. So please don't think that this is a rejection of you. It is just that when they did the comparison, somebody was just a smidge higher. There are also other things that could be happening behind the scenes. An internal person could have popped up as well, and they're wanting to hire internally versus externally. That happens all the time. And I'll be honest, this other last thing I'm going to tell you is I understand why we have to do it, but it just doesn't it's just hard, it's a hard reality to kind of swallow, is that sometimes they have to post positions both internally and externally based on their policy or if they're publicly traded, things like that. And so they may already have an internal candidate, but they had to actually interview external candidates as well. So there's a lot going on for why you may not have gotten the position. But again, you got to the interview. That is the hard part, is landing an interview. Some people are putting out hundreds of applications, very tailored, specific, and they're still not getting interviews. So please celebrate that. So let's talk about what you can do when you are not offered the position. We always like to talk about it that you are not, God, you weren't rejected. God just redirected you to another path and another door. And so I would invite you to do the same thing that you would do if you're being ghosted, is to celebrate your success that you got that interview. Also, let yourself feel that sting. It does sting, but also kind of remember and keep it in context that just means that something better is out there for you, and just keep moving forward. And then do exactly what you would do in the others. What did you do well? What would you do more of? Is there anything you'd say or do differently? Any other examples that you want to use next time? You can also reach out to the recruiters and see if they have any feedback for you. That's another possibility. I would don't be surprised if they tell you no, we're not able to get that. They kind of keep that tight-lipped because it's from a U.S. law perspective, they just want to keep that under wraps. But some will actually give you that feedback, and so it doesn't hurt to ask. I think this is the toughest one. All right. Any questions before we start getting into the offers and what you can and cannot negotiate?
Well,
All
there
right.
was a comment about somebody had an experience years ago that they were offered the job but never given all the details, and a lot of time went by, and they called and found out that they were scheduled to start that week, and they were never told.
Oh, well, I'm curious, did you start?
They didn't say, but it sounds like they did.
They did. Okay. Okay. Well, I'm like, wow, actually have never heard of that one, but thank you for sharing that. Wow, communication. That's a great opportunity to help enhance their communication once you're inside. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Well, that's like happy news. Hey, we're starting next week. Great, let's go. All right, let's start getting into the offer scenarios, because this is where it can get really interesting really fast. So the first one is low or not quite right offer. But one of the things that I just want to anchor us on is that it's the reality is that you have the most leverage or the most opportunity when you are being presented an offer. So you've gotten through the interviews, you've met with everybody. They want you. They really want you over anybody else. And a lot of times we decide, well, I don't want to rock the boat. I don't know what I can negotiate, but this is honestly the time that you have to negotiate, for the fact that once you are inside of the company, you now are under their policies and their procedures, meaning there's only a certain percentage for increases every year. So companies I was at, somebody couldn't get more than a 10% increase. So even if they were brought in lower salary, you could not get even more. And there are different pots and pools of money, and things come out of different budgets. And so when we talk through, I show you some of the things you can negotiate, and it's in your handout too. Some things are easier for them to actually give, and it's no big deal. But this is your golden moment. Do not lose this moment. So look, when you see a low or not quite right offer, you actually want to take a look at whether or not it really is too low or not quite right for you. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen on this, but I'm going to show you another tool that at the end of this, I'm going to show you exactly how to get it. You'll get this spreadsheet, no worries. But I'm going to share. We actually have created a calculator that can help you think this through. And so what you want to do is to take that low offer, but also know exactly what you need to cover all of your current expenses. So with this calculator helps you run through, you just plug and play all the information. So your rent and all of this, your mobile devices, your internet, your health insurance, your prescriptions, co-insurance, all of that stuff. Everything that you put out every month, it'll give you your total expenses, your yearly expenses, and then put in your tax rate based upon your tax bracket, and you can go out to the IRS to get that. This is for last year's. They have a 2026 one that just dropped as well. And it'll tell you at a minimum what you need to cover based upon your current expenses. And we have in here as well, fun money. So give yourself some grace to have other things like hobbies and entertainment or whatever you have. But then there's another tab that is in here. So you have your current expenses, but look at that offer. Ask for a couple days to take a look at it and really, really dive into it from what are your health insurance premiums? What are your deductibles? Are you going to have an internet stipend, a cell phone stipend, all of these other things, and run it through the calculator to see exactly what that new role is going to be giving you. So we've actually had some clients that at the end of the day, they were no longer having to commute. So they changed how much they had to pay in their gas for their car. They were getting their internet covered. They were getting their cell phone service covered. Their health insurance was actually lower deductibles. There was all kinds of great things where it did offset it. And it was the job that they really wanted. And so they actually made out in the long term better. But on the surface, it looked like it was a low or not quite right offer. So I just encourage you to take a look and run the numbers just to make sure you are not leaving anything on the table or walking away from something that could be a fantastic opportunity for you, but doesn't look on the surface quite right. Before I jump on to the next thing, any questions on this? Because I really want to make sure you all get a chance to ask questions on this.
There's a comment that this is awesome, and I agree, because I think, unfortunately, too many people don't really know what they have to make in order to stay even, and this gives them the ability to map that out and have some good numbers. Do have a couple other questions here. One says, what should you do if you've made it through the interview process with multiple companies but have not been offered a position? It gets harder to handle each time. Just a quick comment on my part on that is, what I find is generally true. There's exceptions for sure, but if you're getting to multiple interviews at a company, you're probably not doing anything wrong. If you're getting a lot of first interviews and not getting to second, then there might be some issues in how you're interviewing. But they wouldn't keep you going in the process if you weren't a good candidate for them. And you never know who your competition is. If you're not getting an offer, it's probably, in most cases for companies, the last two candidates either one could be a good fit for them. It's just one person has an edge because of some experience or something that you don't have, and you can't do anything about that. But if you're getting through the process, you're probably not making mistakes there. What are your thoughts on that?
100%. I agree wholeheartedly. But from being on that side of the table, it was because the more interviews you get, the harder it is to line up those schedules and get everybody on the same page. And because it's usually higher roles in the company that they have to pull into the conversation. So if you've gotten to those rounds, they would never put you in front of those senior leaders if they did not think that you were a qualified candidate and you're really good. What I would actually encourage you to do is if you don't end up getting that role, you now have contacts and you have met people at that company. Connect with them on LinkedIn. See if you can, like start to cultivate that network, not for the purposes of getting a job, but to expand your network. And they've already had a chance to see you in action, talk to you, and create a connection. So I would go that route because you never know what'll come up later. Harry and I were talking about this before. We had interviewed for a candidate for a role on my team, and she ended up at the end of the day, it wasn't quite a fit for us. And she sent me a handwritten thank you note. I was like, wow. And she stood out to me and stayed connected with me. So when I was working with another business unit in the company and a role popped up that was perfect for her, I immediately handed her information over to them. They interviewed her, she got through the rounds, and she was hired, but she stayed connected and networked. And I so appreciate it because she was such a great candidate and such a value add. Great question. And it's tough. I know it's tough. All right.
Another question here. What do you do when they send you an email with the offer? I've come across situations where they made it sound like there was no room for negotiation. What do you do then?
Let me go back to the deck and let's talk about negotiation, because this is where it gets really good. Okay. Okay. All right. So when they make it sound like you can't negotiate things, what it could end up being is that they are not aware of everything that you can negotiate. And so sometimes you just have to ask. If you don't ask, you won't get. I do it respectfully and collaboratively, and make sure you've run your numbers and know exactly what you need before you start the negotiation. That way you can say, when I'm looking at this, some things that I noticed, this is going to be an extra expense. Could we talk about this or this or this? So some things that base salary, you can obviously ask if there was a range and see if they can come up a little. If they say no, then I really suggest going to things like signing bonuses, especially if you're leaving money on the table at your current job. They can buy out so if you're getting hired on before your bonus payout at the other company, they can actually pay that out for you as well. Performance bonuses, stock options, profit sharing, a lot of things are on the table, but the recruiter who's offering the role, or sometimes even the hiring manager, may not be aware of everything the company is able to provide. So that's why I gave you the whole kit and caboodle. These are things to just check and test. The easiest thing for them to actually negotiate is, and I did this all the time because I was up to a certain number of weeks per year and there was no way I was leaving vacation days on the table. I would negotiate the number of vacation days because it doesn't come out of salaries and bonuses and all of those pots. They typically can negotiate that as well. We're also seeing people are able to negotiate remote, hybrid, certain days of the week that they need to be home for certain reasons, especially if you're going to be traveling further for the role. You can negotiate cell phone coverage, internet coverage, technology stipends, commuter benefits. All of these things are things that to negotiate. Do your numbers first to see where that would make a big impact. Because if you're gonna ask, you pretty much only have one shot to ask it. So make sure you put it all on the table up front. Some of the other things that we have negotiated for clients and really recommend to do it, professional development. This is one that most people don't know that you can even ask about. So can I get a training budget to attend these conferences, get these certifications, do these courses, even professional coaching. You can actually negotiate to have a professional coach like myself or my team that would work with you one-on-one for onboarding for 30, 60, 90 days. memberships, tuition reimbursement, mentorship, all of that. And the biggest one that I've actually negotiated is job title, because we know that titles can impact future opportunities. And so if you don't ask, you don't know if you can get, even if they say it's everything, it's like it feels like they're not able to negotiate. Again, they may not know what is available or what other people have negotiated in the past. Just because they haven't seen it doesn't mean it's not possible.
Yep.
Does that answer the question?
I think that was good. Also, follow up on that. If you do try to negotiate a higher base salary, is there a range that it's appropriate you should stay within? Like, how could you ask for what might seem reasonable?
Yes. So I actually put that also into your workbook as well. So there are some great websites like Indeed Salaries Calculator, 𝙤𝙪𝙾 calculator. And if the company, when you are interviewing, you can even ask that question, because they ask you the dreaded, what salary are you looking for? They're doing that to see if you fit in the range of what they have to offer for that. So I just recommend saying, well, it's difficult to give that salary because that was based upon the company and the location and all of that. What is your range that you have available for this position? That if they give you that, then you know if you can negotiate up. But even then, I will be this happened to me many years ago when I was offered a role, and the salary was lower than I needed based upon the numbers, ran the numbers. And I said, well, are you able to move it up to this? And they came back. I didn't hear from them for a couple of days. I'm like, uh-oh, did I just shoot my shot? What just happened? I missed it. I missed my moment. They came back and actually said, yes, we can do it. But then it also put me into the next level up job title wise, because it put me into another band. So ask. If you don't ask respectfully, collaboratively, then you miss the moment. So and if you want help thinking that through or practicing that out, give me a call. Let's talk about it. Let's help get you feeling comfortable and confident to have that conversation, because it's awkward. I'll be honest.
And
Right.
it's, don't ask for too much before the offer, but once you have the offer is the time. Once you start the job, it's too late. So it's
exactly. Before the offer, you've done what you can do, but once you get, that is your golden moment. Negotiate, because as soon as you step inside, you now are under their maximum of nope, sorry, our policy is this. So get it before you walk in. Any other questions coming up?
No, that's it for now.
Okay, perfect. So regardless of what happens, so if it's low or not so right, you still want to negotiate. Look at your numbers, run your numbers. And then now what if you get the just right, or oh my goodness, that's higher than I ever expected offer? Go back to your numbers and run the numbers. Many years ago, early in my career, I didn't run the numbers. And when I got inside, I was like, what in the world just happened? One thing, for example, it looked like I had a very large PTO pool of bank of hours, but that PTO pool, bank of hours, covered holidays, sick leave, and PTO. So I literally had almost very little vacation time, because everything had to go towards holidays or sick leave or whatever. Whereas other companies, it's 3 separate pools. So my brother a couple years ago just retired from the military, and he received an offer, and he's like, wow, that is so great. I'm like, I encourage him, please run the numbers, because what you're being paid now covers certain things. You get allowances for this. That new salary, you're no longer going to have this. You're no longer going to have this. And here's your new tax bracket. And it was a stark reality to be able to look at the data. Even though it looked like it was a great opportunity, it actually wasn't. It was a lot less than he was getting previously. And so definitely make sure you know your numbers and what you need, and ask for a couple days to take a look at that offer. The company will understand, and they'll absolutely be, gracious because they know that you want to make an informed choice. But get the benefits package, get everything, and then when you come back, then you can ask for your negotiations. This is the one that's the hardest because you're like, what? That's a fantastic offer. And there are some companies that are known for their fantastic offers, but they come with strings. So one company, even the executives, their highest salary is capped. No person in the company can have a higher salary than X, but then they offer stock options, investing, but those come with a timeline. So you have to stay for 3 years to get this, and you get this in a year. And so while it looks very enticing, you want to look to see what exactly is cash on hand. Are you going to be able to cover your expenses for you and your family? Any other questions popping in?
Well, not right now.
Okay, perfect. All right, so let's talk about the last one is you get multiple offers, because this is honestly the best one, best scenario, but it can also be very nerve-wracking because now you're thinking, oh no, they want an answer tomorrow. They want an answer. Oh, so again, go back to the numbers and run each of them side by side and look at so take that tab, copy that tab, and put every single one in their own tab to see exactly what you're going to be getting for the year, so that you can make sure you're looking at it. And then I'm actually going to show you the other tab in the spreadsheet that you're going to get it's my favorite one. My goodness, it's the job evaluation worksheet. So we've put this together to help you think through jobs as objectively as you can get, because it's an emotion. This is a very emotional process. So I want to help give you some data and ground you a little bit. So at the top of the spreadsheet, this tab, you're going to put what's your decision criteria, and these are just some samples. Intellectual, creative challenge, collaborative culture, location, all of that. The being happy with seniority, work-life balance, everything that and add to it as you want, but then rank them from 1 to 10 or 1 to 15 or however many you have. And you have to force rank them. What is the most important thing for you? That gets a 10. What's the least important thing for you? That gets the 1. They're all important, but rank them. Then what you're going to do is put each job, the salary that you're getting, and then you're going to identify on a scale of 1 to 10, how much does it meet this criteria? Okay, well, location, it's a lot further out. Maybe it gets a 2, right? And so and the calculator does everything for you. And you're going to do that for all the jobs that you're looking at side by side. And then you come over to this last column, which is the results. And the numbers don't lie. Based on your criteria and the importance and what the job gives you, it's going to weight everything and tell you stack rank order. Like job 1 looks like it has the most fit. Wait, I didn't see that coming. It allows you to then narrow in and focus on exactly what you heard and what you're seeing from the job. Oh, well, this job allows me to think more creatively. Wow, okay, this job has a very collaborative culture. I really want that. Okay, so it's further away. What do I do? Guess what? That actually gives you some information for what you should negotiate. So should you negotiate? Well, because it's further away, maybe I see if I can have 1 day a week that I work from home, or 2 days a week that I work from home, or hybrid schedule, or whatever that looks like. So you wanna use this to take the emotion out of all of it, and really help you to see where in the world do I need to get additional support from the company, like promotion and growth. If they don't have that, ask for professional development. Ask for how you can grow and expand in the company. So this is also included in the spreadsheet, because when you get multiple offers, it's overwhelming, I'll be honest. But again, ask for time, run your numbers. So you take this tab, future expenses, copy for every job so you know, and then come to the evaluation worksheet and put them side by side against your criteria. What do you need for your job? Let me pause and see what questions you have.
Nothing at the moment, but a great tool here. We, in our Crossroads classes, we recommend people do something similar, but it's nice when it's automated like this.
I always automate everything that I can because no calculators. Nope, we're good. Everything that you could possibly need. And be honest with yourself around what these categories are. So, and if you need help thinking that through, give us a call, give Harry a call, because we all want to help you work that through. Think about what were you happiest and what did you love most about other companies? What drove you crazy or was annoying, and that you reverse engineer because that turns into your criteria. So things that I've seen pop up on these spreadsheets are supportive management. So the relationship with the new manager looks like we're going to work together well, or I have no idea. And that shows up here, and that's important to the person. So whatever you need to do, whatever is most important to you and you value, I'll be honest, the one that's popping up a lot is the work-life blend or balance as well, is how does the company really support that? And when you're interviewing, you can actually interview them around it without it being very weird. You ask them about, what they love about the company and the environment, what keeps them there. I've actually heard companies say, wow, I love this company because it's so work hard, play hard. We just work as much as we need to do to get something done. And then, we just go and celebrate and play hard. I'm like, well, for me, that might not be the right culture fit, and I might not have the right balance because I want to, I can do that intensity for a period of time, but I can't do that long term and sustain it. Versus some people, they love that environment and that they would thrive in that. So that's why I encourage you to really lean into this one.
This is an important point, I think, Christy, because what is one person's heaven is another person's hell, and vice versa, right? And you have to know yourself well enough to be able to figure out, is this the right fit for me or not? And I think that self-awareness helps you ask better questions and then make better decisions in the process. But asking somebody else, is this a good culture at this organization? It might be for them, but it might not be for you. So always take the answers with a grain of salt.
Absolutely. And when you look at Glassdoor or the reviews out there, you probably are going to get the extremes. So, part of it is look in your LinkedIn network. LinkedIn, a great place to find out about culture. If you know somebody or know somebody who knows somebody, you can really ask them, hey, can you tell me a little bit about the company? So one of our clients was looking to apply for a role at a company. That company is known for microcultures within the company. So overarching had a great culture, but this one department the person was interviewing for, she reached out to me. I looked at my network. I'm like, hey, can you give me some insight into this? And found out that it would not have been a good fit. And so it was the go in with your eyes open, knowing that when you're in, you're going to be there for a bit until you decide to leave or, what happens. So.
Perfect. Have another question here.
Yeah.
It says, what's the worst that could happen if you accept an offer, start the job, and then a week later you're given a better offer with the job you really wanted and decided to leave and take that job? I mean, companies these days have no problem cutting people at the drop of a hat. Why couldn't you do the same to accomplish your own goals for you and your family? And then somebody else asked, along with that, to add to that last question, what if you take a job and work in it a month and determine 60-hour weeks are no longer a fit for you and your family?
Yeah.
Tough one. Not recommended, but go ahead.
Yeah. Well, okay. So I'm going to put it in the first one in a different perspective. So, because part of it was the wording you used as well. So I want to anchor on that. So yes, companies can drop people, for any reason at any moment, and a lot of reductions of force and layoffs are happening right now. But think about how you are perceiving that company. So you're perceiving that company as they don't care, they're not right, they're not kind. And so if you are there for a week, you get another offer and you leave, that they're going to equate some of those traits to you. It could damage it's a risk, because it could damage your, what brand, how do you want to be perceived by that company? it is such a small world, and you don't know who knows who and who knows who. So you really want to protect your brand and your own reputation. But it does happen. If you are really waiting for a job offer for your dream job, that's why I say wait a little bit. And if you're waiting for that other person to get that other company to get back to you, you can call them and say, "Hey, I really am interested in this role. I hate, it's awkward. Can we just talk? I just had another offer come in. Can we chat up? Where is this in the process? I want to make sure that have an opportunity I'd love to join your company." They may fast track that process and really give you that offer right away.
Yeah, things I think have really changed in this world. I've been recruiting for 38 years, and many years ago when people were working 20, 30, 40 years at one company and you burned a bridge at that company, it probably isn't going to affect you much down the road. These days, when people are changing jobs every 3 to 5 years, the person that you just burned at that company might be the hiring manager at another company you want to go to 5 years from now.
Yeah.
And I've seen that happen much more than ever in the past. Further, the company where you take the job, the replacement job, if they find out what you did, they're probably not going to think as well of you in your new position. And so you want to really be careful about that.
Yeah. They'll wonder if you're going to do the same thing to them.
Exactly.
To be honest. And then the second question that came in that was a follow-up, that's a different scenario. If you're 30, 60 days in and you're realizing, oh my goodness, this is not for me. I can't do 60 hours a week. This isn't working for me and my family. That one is actually having a really candid conversation with your leader and just putting that out and being very vulnerable and transparent of, I really thought that this was going to be a good fit. At 30 days, 60 days in, this is really causing a strain or whatever that is that's going on. And I'm just wanting to let you know that I'm going to give my notice, and let's talk about what that adequate period would be. Honestly, it's better if you tell them sooner than later that it's not a good fit, because they have other candidates in the pool that they can go back to. If it's 30, 60 days, 90 days out. Usually that's the sweet spot of when we find out if somebody's gonna work or not work, they like it or they don't. They're really just checking you out as well for those first 90 days, and you're checking them out as well. So I think that one's more acceptable, depending on how you bring it up. But Harry, what are your thoughts?
I completely agree. That is a different scenario. And chances are, if you're finding it's not working for you, they probably already have a sense as well. And so it's probably not going to be a surprise to them if you bring up that conversation.
No, it definitely usually is not a surprise. What other questions are popping in? These are really good questions. Please keep them coming.
Yeah, that's it for now.
Okay, I'm just gonna going back to the deck, because we are like this. This is the heart of the whole thing. Is Harry and I really want to make sure that you get everything that you need for how to navigate these conversations. Because once the interview's over, it feels like you go into no man's land, or now you're in the, wait, did they not value me land and they lowballed you? They may not have, because you're getting an amazing benefit over here that you never even thought of, or you negotiate something even better than you ever thought. If it's a really great offer, still negotiate, because if you don't ask, you don't get. And this is the golden moment, the real golden moment that nobody realizes. They want you. You can ask for what you need. I mean, obviously, don't be like, I need access to the private jet, but don't go overboard. But ask for what you really need based upon what you've run the numbers, and you're really, you're educated around it, and be polite, respectful, and collaborative. I think that's the big word. Collaborate with them to see how you can make the offer work, and then ask for the time that you need. And if you do get another offer that you're waiting on getting in, you can go back to that other company and ask them, "Hey, I just had something come in. Is there any way that where is this in process?" That may light a fire under them, that they like, "Oh, whoa, we really want you," and that would fast track theirs as well. Or if they say, "Well, we were 2 weeks out, then you're going to have to make a decision based upon that. But be careful about burning bridges with social media and LinkedIn. Everybody can find out who's connected to who, and they do. We pick up the phone and talk to people. They pick up the phone and talk to people, and it's, as Harry said, it's more commonplace now than it ever has been. But the last thing I want to leave you all with is, please, no matter what happens, you need to celebrate. You got through the process. That's the hard part. People are applying in droves. Thousands of candidates are hitting for one job every day. To get through the system, to get through the screening, to get to the interviews, to even get to that part of the process, that's amazing. Celebrate that God allowed you to get to this portion of the process. What does He want you to learn, and what do you need to take? What does He want to show you and take with you? So even if it isn't the right door for you, and when I say it's the hallway moments, I always say, everybody tells you that when one door closes, another one opens, but they forget to tell you it's hell in that hallway. It really is. But where are you getting refined? Where are you growing? What are you moving towards? And use that hallway moment to really be ready. God's preparing you for something. Be ready for that door when it opens so you can run through it. And with that, I do want to, if you text keys to 33777, this is the easiest way. It automates getting you the spreadsheets and as well as another copy of the handout, so you can share that with anybody. That would be helpful. And if you get into a sticky widget and you can't get it, or something weird happens, please just email me and I'd be happy to get you what you need. But I just thank you for the questions. Are there any others that are coming in now that we're coming to the end of our time together?
Just a comment that this has been very helpful. Thank you. I agree. Here we go. Only recently been laid off, barely applying for jobs, but this presentation helps put the entire job cycle in perspective and set the right expectations from no job to the right job. And thanks so much for all this information. I agree. Excellent information. I think people often are shy about following up or doing any follow-up work after an interview, but you don't want to be calling and leaving voicemails every day, but at the same time, it certainly does make sense to follow up and stay top of mind to some extent with them, and give them good reasons. The one thing with all your messaging, whether it's an email or voicemail or conversations, keep it brief. If you're rambling on and on about why they should hire you, you're not helping yourself, I promise.
They're like, oh no, it's a long email. I mean,
yeah.
Think about that this was years ago, but that handwritten note, I still think about that. I still think about that candidate that turned into a fellow colleague of mine at that company. Those who took the time to do that do stand out. And with everything that's going on, I mean, while we're sitting here, I can't even imagine how many emails have popped into my inbox alone. You really can help get yourself onto somebody's radar and help remind, I'm interested. I'm really interested. Because one thing, there has been a shift in trend of what companies are looking for from employees and candidates. I can't even tell you how many times I keep hearing the one, I need people with initiative to be proactive, not just wait for me to tell them what to do. So when you are proactive and you're not waiting to be told where you are in the process, you're checking in and asking, you're actually demonstrating the exact initiative and value that they want. So please do that. I encourage, and reach out to Harry or myself. We would be happy to help you with this. This is what we do. Here to support you.
Absolutely. No, it's I think people often get focused on, well, I have all the right experience for the job. I can't believe I'm not getting hired. But it's never about just the experience. Obviously, that's a critical piece. Can you do the job effectively? But it's the whole package. Are you going to represent us well within the organization and outside the organization? Am I going to enjoy working with you for 8 hours a day? Are you going to show initiative, as you said, or be proactive in getting your work done? And so it's all these factors that you have to take into account. The can you do the job is only part of the equation.
Absolutely. Well, and also one of the other things that we talk to our clients about is it also could be that you can do the job, but do you know how to talk about how you can do the job? Do you know how to package that in a way that would catch their attention and really let you shine? Right. So one of our clients, we worked through his red thread, his superpower, what he's really good at, and how to answer that dreaded question of tell me about yourself. And instead of verbally vomiting his entire resume, he's leading with, this is what I'm known for. I've done it a couple times here throughout my career, and happy, you know, and then you can jump into the conversation. So do you know how to have that conversation? That might be the piece that's differentiating one person over another as well. You never know.
Yeah. Quick question. Somebody asked, what if you want to send a thank you email to the interview, but don't have access to their email address? I reached out to the recruiter and got ghosted.
Okay.
I want the team to know I appreciated their time meeting with me.
Well, if you reach out to the recruiter and got ghosted, then you're probably going to get ghosted. You can send it to the recruiter and say, hey, I was hoping that you might be able to share this with the interview panel, and this is, you know, I just really enjoyed our conversation. And from there, you may or may not hear back from them, depending on the company's process. It's kind of like when you're doing RFPs, you can't communicate or do anything because you don't want to treat anybody differently. Same thing with the interview process, that the processes, they may or not be allowed to respond to you. But you can always just say, could you pass this along? I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Also, it's usually pretty easy to figure them out, especially if you have an email address from the recruiter. It's, you know, most cases it's first name dot last name at company.com, right? And so plug in the name of the people you interviewed with. If it's wrong, it'll bounce back. No harm done.
Or you have this lovely thing called LinkedIn as well. And if you get the premium, you can send a message direct.
Yep.
Do that as well. I would encourage you to do that because it'll also stand out.
You bet.
Yep.
Chrissy, this has been terrific. Thanks so much. And there's so much practical help in there. As you offered to them, they can pick up the documents by texting that number that you gave them and receive those back. I think those are terrific tools. Appreciate you doing this today, and I hope everybody was able to get some great insight and practical tips on that. With that, I want to transition to just run through other things you can take advantage of with Crossroads. Let me share my screen here with some slides, and I hope you plug in and get additional help as you need it. It's, I think I say this often, but you know, certainly I'm always focused on making sure that we have great content for people. But I think equally important is just having a community of others that are going through the same thing, and you know that your emotions in this process and the challenges you face are not unique, and that you get some encouragement and hope and direction and guidance through this that can give you an extra help in your attitude each day or each week, and be able to keep moving forward. I think the moral support is as important as the content we provide, but I always want to make sure we have the best content available as well. So everything we offer is at our website at mncrossroads.com, and you can find all kinds of details of upcoming events and resources and tools and things that you can use there. Some of you, or many of you, registered through the national website at crossroadscareer.org, and we post some of our events on there, certainly all the online events, but you can take advantage of additional things through our website as well here locally in the Minneapolis area. For those of you that are local, there's opportunities to get plugged into in-person events we have, and then we have many of them that are online too. One of the things on our website is a job board. We have a number of local companies here in the Twin Cities area that know what we do, know that great people show up, and they post on our job boards, sometimes for jobs that aren't posted elsewhere. And I get feedback that they've hired great people through Crossroads. So check that out if you're in the Twin Cities area, and you can find some great opportunities that get posted there regularly. Actually, I just had a conversation with an employer yesterday that's going to start a large bank here locally that's going to start posting positions very soon on there as well. Kind of our cadence each month of what's available to you is we have 3 of these seminar topics each month. The first Thursday of each month, so the next one's coming up on March 5th is Thursday morning at 7:30 is at Grace Church in Eden Prairie. It's we have a presentation like this. That's followed by our networking group meets in person that day and at 9:00. And then following that meeting, we have someone come in and talk about financial considerations during your job transition. They'll be in one area of the church that's for that. And then we have also kind of a micro job fair. We have anywhere from 1 to 5 employers that'll stop by and set up at a table, and you could go ask them about opportunities they have and talk to them about your background. So check that out if you're local here. Come on March 5th is our next one in person at Grace Church in Eden Prairie. The second Thursday evening of each month, 7 p.m., is on the other end of the metro in Woodbury at Woodbury Lutheran Church. And we have another presentation like this that happens there. And then the third Thursday morning each month, which is what you're on now, is an online webinar. So you can participate in those from wherever you sit in the country. Actually, at times we have people that join us from other parts of the world, which is amazing to me. We've had people come on from the UK, from Africa, from Australia. I always wonder what time is there. It's amazing to me. Sometimes people join in the middle of the night. I'm grateful for that, but you can certainly take advantage of those opportunities. On a weekly basis, we also have our other things that go on. Each week on Thursday mornings at 9:00, we have our networking group that meets, and you can share contacts and leads and ideas for each other and help each other out in all kinds of ways. They meet in person at Grace Church on the first Thursday, but every following Thursday each month is through a Zoom meeting online. And so you can go to the networking page on the website, see all the details of how that works, register there in order to get a Zoom link and participate as often as you'd like. We have one-on-one coaching available. If you want to sit down with one of our volunteers, either through a Zoom meeting or a phone call, just fill out the form online to request a time to get together, and somebody will reach out to you and schedule something for the two of you to talk. And you can talk about anything regarding your job search at all, whether it's having them take a look at your resume and offer critique, prepare for an interview, perhaps do mock interview practice, talk through better networking ideas, or for a lot of people, it's just they need to talk through their current situation, get some fresh ideas and insight, and just process it with somebody that gets it. Sometimes family and friends are supportive, but they don't necessarily understand the challenges you're going through. And so talking through with somebody that understands can really be helpful. And so take advantage of that as often as you'd like. Just look for the one-on-one coaching page on the website, and you'll be able to sign up for that. We have a team of people that loves to pray for you. They pray for you in general all the time, but if you have a specific prayer request that you're struggling with, go to our prayer request page and they'll pray for you specifically. And if you feel like you really need some more spiritual support through this process, that it's been a challenge for you, that you want to get additional input on, we have a soul care team. You can sign up or email us for that. There's information on that prayer request page as well, and on the coaching page. And you can we'll have somebody reach out to you, and you can set up some times to talk to them through a Zoom meeting as well. The meat and potatoes, though, where we go in the most in-depth of everything we offer, is through our online classes. And we start a new class each month. They range from 5 to 8 weeks, depending on who the facilitator is. And there's another one starting in March. But we go through every aspect of a successful job search, starting with attitude and getting in the right frame of mind, and doing some assessments and getting better self-awareness, so you can identify the right jobs and the right companies better and be able to articulate who you are uniquely better. We talk a lot about networking and targeting companies, and we go through resume best practices, interviews, negotiating, selecting the right job, and much more. And I think, as I mentioned earlier, as important as the content is, I think equally important is having that weekly light accountability and encouragement and moral support, and kind of help even out that emotional roller coaster you go through in this process. And throughout the 8 weeks, we also explore what's God's perspective of your job search and your life. And he cares about all of it, not just Sunday mornings. And so we talk about that as well. As I mentioned, new classes starting monthly. There's a new one starting in March. Check the website for details. You can email us there to get plugged into that, and hope that you take advantage of it. I think it's a great way to get ongoing help with your search. We have a LinkedIn group. If you put MN Crossroads Career Network in the LinkedIn search box, you'll find two things. One is our company page, which I encourage you to follow, because the more followers we have, the more exposure we get, and people that need and want the help can be more aware that we exist. But the second part is you can request to join our company group, LinkedIn group. And in there, there's a lot of information that gets posted. There's even some recruiters that post jobs in there as well. But we have, actually, I think it's about it's over 3,000 people now that are in there that have been through Crossroads in the past, and remain in there just to be networking contacts at the companies that they landed at. And it's a great way, if you have companies locally here in the Twin Cities that you're pursuing, you can take a look at, is anybody there working at those companies, or you can scroll through the members and see where they're working and see if there's companies that you might want to pursue. Reach out to them to get some advice on how to pursue that most effectively. And then after you land a job, it's a great way to give back and be able to offer to be a resource to other people as well. So just stay in the group after you've landed in your new role. This webinar and all of our webinars from the last few years are posted on our YouTube channel. So you can find all kinds of topics there that you can review. Nice thing on YouTube, you can fast forward, you can rewind, you can play it in double time, you can skip over all the stuff that I'm talking about and get to the meat from the presenters. But we have great topics, and it's a great way to spend a weekend, is watch job search weekend videos, right? Maybe not, but take advantage of that. And by tomorrow at the latest, this video will be posted on there as well, so you can review it as often as you'd like. If you're local here, we have a couple of events coming up, not till April, but certainly want to make you aware of them and maybe put them on your calendar now to reserve the time. But once a quarter, we do a full day job search workshop. The next one is coming up Saturday, April 11th, and it'll be from 8 a.m. till 5 p.m. We have a series of topics that are covered in that workshop from a number of different speakers that come in. We have a Q&A panel of recruiters that will be there to answer any questions you have about the process or how you can improve interacting with them. We have, it's the one thing we do charge for, because we do provide a box lunch. We have a working lunch where we have a presentation during the lunch period as well. And we have a workbook for you that covers all the topics you're going to be seeing that day. It's a full day event that is definitely worthwhile, gives you a lot of information all in one sitting. And it's a $20 charge, but we don't want anybody to miss this because of the cost. If cost is an issue for you, if you see on the website, you'll be able to email us, and we'll provide scholarships. We certainly don't want cost to be the thing that keeps anybody away. Pre-registration is required for that. Registration is not up yet. It will be in the next couple of weeks, but look at the website for more details and take advantage of it. Then also in April, coming up at Tuesday, April 28th, that evening, we have a large networking event, Connections and Conversations. And we'll do a short tutorial on how to use LinkedIn's mobile app in a large setting like that, and to become better connected with a bunch of people. And you get a chance to meet and connect with others and share leads and ideas and contacts. And it's going to be a great opportunity to make a lot of new connections soon. On occasion, we have employers that show up too, just to mingle and be a resource for you too. And so that's coming up on that Tuesday. I'm grateful. We have a great partnership with Th2rivent, and they're paying for hors d'oeuvres and snacks for us, and to help make it a more festive event as well. The website will be updated soon with more details for you, but put that on your calendar. You don't want to miss it if you're here locally in the Twin Cities. I just want to acknowledge we actually have over 40 people that volunteer for Crossroads in one way or another in order for us to do all these different things. I'm very grateful for all of them because it enables us to serve in a lot of different ways and offer great expertise and help. And they all volunteer. Nobody's getting a paycheck. And so I just want to acknowledge each of them that I'm grateful for all they do. If you don't have a church home, I certainly encourage you to visit one of ours on a Sunday morning, whether it's Grace Church in Eden Prairie or Woodbury Lutheran Church. We have services streaming online, but in person as well. I encourage you to get plugged into a church. It's just that additional community and support and good teaching and spiritual support is so important when you're going through this. Nobody wants to live out long-term job search. It feels so discombobulated, right? And getting some structure and support is, I think, so critical in all of this. Our next seminar is coming up at Grace Church in Eden Prairie on Thursday, March 5th. That morning, Jennifer Radke, who is actually the CEO of the social media, I'm going to get it wrong here, Social Media Institute, which provides certifications on social media marketing and other aspects. She is a LinkedIn expert, and she's going to talk extensively about how to make your LinkedIn profile work more effectively for you. Really encourage you to make it in person if you can. That will not be online, but it's going to be a great morning. And then that'll be followed by our networking meeting and the micro job fair as well. I hope this was encouraging for you this morning and you got some great help. I'm glad Christy was able to provide the help and resources she did. And I look forward to seeing you at other Crossroads events. Better yet, I hope we don't have to see you and you land a new job here shortly. But we want to help be a resource in that process as much as possible. Thanks for joining us and see you next time.